Alright, so for this one, it'll basically just be playing through some basic ALiVE objectives, kind of just walking you through how you would actually play it in single player or with some friends. It's really not that complicated, but I figure some people might find this a little interesting how I do it, you know. So, yeah. Starting off, I did have some things I need to adjust that, you know, between recording last time and now. First off, we're going to go into C2 iStar. What we want is display map intel set to on, and total coverage probably medium coverage, just so it's not spamming us. What this will do is it allows us to see events going on in the map, such as objectives being captured or, you know, things like that. Second thing, I want to increase percentage of this to, I think, 10%, just to give a little more, you know, use the enemy forces on the map. So we've got, I think that's all good. Now, kind of the next part, I'll actually show how to play the game a bit. You know, how to have fun in it. It's kind of just a let's play, so, you know, it's not that complicated. Okay, I actually changed the plans. I'm back in the editor because I actually I put close quarters combat at 10%. I think that's definitely too high. We're going to go to 5%. And complete map dominant. I think that's all these settings are good. I just switched it to 5%, so we'll be going into the mission now again. I went into the mission before and it didn't really work out. So we're going to go into play multiplayer. So you can launch the mission from anywhere in the multiplayer menu as well. This is kind of the same thing, but we're going to go launch from LAN here. Or we'll be playing as CSAT. And I'll show you kind of the multiple ways to play the game. Okay, so first off, we are in the game. We're going to go over to, everything seems to be working, by the way. We're going to go over to here. We're going to go to the arsenal. We're going to grab you can grab whatever equipment you want, obviously. We're going to grab the laser designator, which will allow us to access the C2 iStar module. So we've got that. Maybe grab a few extra magazines. And then so there are multiple ways to play the ALiVE mission, basically. You know, whether single player or multiplayer, there's multiple ways you can kind of play stuff. I'll go through a couple of ways. So first off, if I want to give myself AI teammates, there are modules and stuff you can do to do that like automatically. But since we're using Zeus, I'm just going to do that myself. I'm going to place down a CSAT fire team, and then I'll control drag and onto me, and that'll give me command of this squad. So that's kind of how I have control of these AI guys. Next up, we're going to go over to this truck, which can mount all of us. And we're going to show you, there's multiple ways to kind of play the game, how to get into the action, so to speak. First way, of course, the most obvious is to just go around and do stuff on the map. So if we go to Commander Actions, Intel, you know, you access that by pressing the app key, which is beside the function key and the control key and the shift key on the bottom right of the main block of your keyboard. So we go here, we go into Intel. Because we have the laser designator, we see this stuff. Now we go to unit marking. We can see where our CSAT friendly troops are located. So right now we can kind of see there's combat going on here because we have the intel on the map. We're seeing objectives being occupied by AAF and NATO. So we kind of know the general area where combat is going. So for example, if I were just playing, I would see, okay, there's combat going on over here. I'm going to head over and engage in combat with these guys over here. Or I could go south and, you know, see, oh, there's an objective being occupied here. There's AAF here. Let's go down there and capture that objective. Another way to do it is you go to back and commander objective, so op for commander. We can actually see the priority of general objectives on the map. So, for example, we know that we want to capture that objective down south. We want to capture these objectives over here. Then my guys just keep fucking talking for some reason. Spotting infantry for some reason, even though there shouldn't be infantry here. I don't know what they're calling out. Anyways, so we can go over here. We see that there's, you know, red objective over here. We can capture that, which means we'll drive over there, engage any enemy forces, and hopefully CSAT will bring in some troops to, you know, capture it. Basically softening it up for AI troops. So that's kind of one way to fight. You know, look on the map, look on the commander objectives, look on units, so we can see, you know, where enemy forces are located and engage them. So we'll go, first of all, so that's that. I'll show you another way. That's the main obvious way. So then next we have tasks. So you can auto-generate tasks. That works fine for the most part. Problem being, there's a lot of tasks in ALiVE that are kind of broken, that haven't been fixed. Like I said, development is kind of stopped for now. So what works, and what doesn't work, doesn't work. So the most safe objectives would be things like destroy vehicles, destroy infantry, HVT assassination, things like that kind of don't rely on a lot of complex scripting. So what we're going to do for this one, we're going to do destroy infantry units, and then we're going to do from map selection. Let's have it be down south here, somewhere around here. And then we're going to go to select our faction that we're fighting, which would be, the faction that we are intending to fight. So we're going to pick AAF. We're going to apply to all units on my side, set as current, and assign players. Select me, go back, and generate task. And that should give us, so we have infantry that we want to engage over here. So that's what we'll do. We're going to head south. We're going to head south, activate our GPS. Probably going to cut out this traveling segment, and then I'll just, once I get to the objective, I'll kind of show some gameplay of what it's like to fight them, and kind of maybe some of the issues with using this method. Alright, so we are nearing the objective. So the objective on the map looks like it's in this area over here. We're kind of in this stretch here, so we're going to move towards the objective using our GPS. And we'll dismount before we get to, oh, actually, is that them over there? Maybe. That might actually be our enemies over there. Might be a civilian, though. We are getting shot at, so yeah, we're going to dismount here. Over by this rock here for some cover. Get our guys to dismount. We're going to start engaging the enemy. They are getting shot at. Oh, looks like our guy just fired a rocket. I don't actually see any enemies. That's where they are over there. Switch to our tracers. They popped smoke, so it's kind of hard to see where they are. What we're going to do, we're going to get in this truck here. We're going to drive up to them so we can engage them from a bit closer. Hopefully from this right side here. Don't get taken out. Basically reposition into a more advantageous position. One down. There are CSAT guys over there. Let's try to advance on him. First, we gotta locate the guys we're shooting at. My guys certainly see them. Oh, they're shooting grenades at us. There they are. Alright, Tango down. Clean our glasses. Looks like we've got some friendly armor moving up. That's good, like, little dynamic stuff going on with ALiVE. You know, friendly units will move in outside of your control and kind of spice things up. So we've got... Those are probably the units we're engaging across the river there. We're going to get back in our truck and we're going to move up. We haven't actually taken any casualties yet. And it's kind of unavoidable that you're going to have to break your immersion sometimes by using Zeus to spruce things up, because, as I said before, there are issues with playing with this method and any method in ALiVE really, because a lot of the time you just won't encounter the resistance you would like to see. Because, you know, units are dynamically spread out, a lot of the time, you know, you'll only be facing like a single team or squad of units, and it's like, you know, if you want to fight something more than that, it's really up to you to place them down as the Zeus, which, you know, it's less than ideal, but, I mean, it's kind of, I'll show you how to do that in a way that's like, you know, easy to still have fun with it, rather than just knowing where everything is. And also, you know, setting up objectives for your friends if you're playing in multiplayer is kind of, it's useful to do that. So we got smoke over here, so there's probably, yeah, there's still AAF units alive here that we need to take out. Let's take out this last AAF guy. I don't see where this guy is. Probably in that smoke over there. Oh, and well, we have our first death. And so now we can kind of see, okay, we didn't place a rally point down, so we have our squad leader spawn point over here. Sounds like our guys are kind of getting murdered right now. Oh, it sounds like there's an enemy APC actually. That's not good. Fall back a bit. Take our glasses off because they're broken. Tell our guys to fall back. So there is actually an enemy APC that has moved in and is engaging us. That's fun little dynamic gameplay going on. Yeah, they got us pinned down pretty good. I'll hand it to the AAF, man. And now they've blown up our truck. Hopefully there's an AT weapon around here. with multiple AAF engaging us. We're pinned down. So this is an example of, you know, you go in to kill some infantry, and ALiVE just kind of makes some magic happen, and now you're in a pitched firefight. So not even any Zeus modification needed for something like this. But you know, when you have Zeus, you can set up your own objectives, essentially. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. In this case, I didn't need to. Kind of worked out perfectly. I'm trying to find an AT weapon to kind of save myself, but I'm probably going to die any second now. Let's try to run away a bit. All of our guys have died by now. I'm probably going to die any second now. They've got me heavily suppressed. That's the suppression mod, which I do actually like quite a lot because it gives you, it makes it so you can't just engage enemies no matter what, and it gives you an excuse to put your head down when you really should. So, you know, a lot of the time in Arma, you'll be shooting at enemies. You don't really realize the danger you're in because you're getting shot at, but you don't really think about it, and then you just die. Whereas if you had poked your head down because, you know, for example, your suppression meter goes up, there's a high chance you would have survived. So we got that AVC there. And some AAF infantry as well, somewhere around there. There's an AT weapon we could have used, but... Anyways, well, we kind of failed our objective. We couldn't kill that infantry, and then an APC moved in and is currently just... It's massacred my squad, and yeah. So... what I'm gonna do is activate ALiVE or Zeus just to kind of go over some stuff. So first thing is wherever your Zeus camera is, ALiVE will virtualize units. So to avoid lagging the server too much, we're gonna make sure our cameras over where we are right now, and then, you know, we can kind of see what the after action report here. So we moved in, probably CQB spawned some AAF on this this hut here, so we engaged those. We thought those were the enemies that we were supposed to engage, but actually it was probably this guy right here. So we killed most of his squad, but he's still alive. If we had killed him, our objective would have been completed. And instead, we had this, looks like a mechanized squad moved in, deployed its infantry, and kind of fucked us up. And now it's actually shooting at, looks like it's shooting at a mechanized squad over here. And it actually managed to take it out. So this APC is definitely doing its job of holding this area. So, for example, okay, I'm going to teleport myself. So, teleport, you know, if you have the mods I have, you just go to teleport. Let's teleport ourselves back to base. Just to clean up some of this action. So, as you can see, everything's unvirtualized. And yeah. Other than, you know, the stuff that we place down isn't deleted, but, you know. So, for example, I'm going to give an example of how... Oh, it looks like we have... there are no... So, for enemy... So, one thing. You might want to blacklist certain areas for the CQB module, because, for example, here, we see some AAF have spawned within CSAT territory, because there's probably not an objective here, so the game can't sense this area as dominated by CSAT, even though it basically is. So because of that, there's AAF spawned, you know, in the middle of our territory. You can kind of keep that in as thematic, like, okay, maybe there's some infiltrators or whatever, or, you know, you can put a blacklist along this whole red 4 area so there's no CQB spawning, you know, where you don't want them to be. It's kind of unavoidable though, so, you know, just something that's going to happen. Keep in mind. So for example, as I was saying, how you would run Zeus missions. So one thing is, for example, if I have this infantry here and I'm afraid there's not going to be enough enemy units, so I have my objective. I have the area where I'm going to be going. Now, if I want to spruce this up a bit, let's say, for example, I want to make sure I'm engaging a large number of infantry. What we're going to do, let's say, let's engage like 2 extra fire teams in this area. We place them down. And then what we're going to do, now you can either do, there's multiple ways to do this. I'm going to control, right click, right click, right click, right click, and then alt, right click. That's going to put them on a patrol waypoint. So they're going to patrol in that area. Now, if we're talking like playing this single player with friends, I know those enemy units are there, and I know their general patrol pattern. So it's kind of immersion breaking in that sense. But if you want to do something, a way to avoid that as well, let's say, for example, over here, let's say I want to have an extra squad just engaging. I place it down, and you know, it's going to require you, if you're not in the area, for example, if I'm not virtualizing units in this area, I don't know what extra units are in that area. So that's an extra level of immersion. But I do know there's this rifle squad. I don't want to know their path, so what I'm going to do is go to task and search patrol in the module section, and then I have the lamp patrol waypoint. I click on this, and then I can select let's make them patrol in a 400 meter radius, 4 waypoints, dynamic patrol pattern, sure, dynamic reinforcement, sure. And then I kind of I don't look at the waypoints. So now, for example, I didn't look at the waypoints when I selected that down. So you're kind of tricking yourself. Now I know there's an enemy squad in this area. I do not really know exactly where they're deployed. And so that's a way to augment, you know, either the intel module objectives, or for example, I could have placed that down if I wanted to capture red play and make sure there's enough units to actually have a decent fight. Place down a couple of squads, put them in the patrol waypoints, and then I'm good to go. I know I'll be engaging at least some forces that, you know, I wouldn't really otherwise be, because, you know, the game, for whatever reason, you know, there's not enough units in that area to give me a decent fight. So that's kind of how I augment my play style a bit. Otherwise, you know, my regular way of playing before ALiVE, before I was using ALiVE heavily, I would kind of just make a mission, and I would know generally where most units were, because, you know, obviously I'm placing them down ahead of time. There's no way for me to know that. So with ALiVE, it's kind of a mixture, right? There's a lot of dynamic units that I don't know where they are, but there's also units I can place down to ensure that it's the kind of fight that I want to be fighting. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You know, a certain level of immersion breaking in terms of knowledge of the enemy forces is kind of required when you're playing single player. Unless, you know, like I said, you could play this completely dynamically, never touching the Zeus module. You just might run into situations where it's kind of boring because you're only fighting, you know, a single fire team in the middle of nowhere. So you can run into situations like that, but if you want to make sure, okay, I'm going to be fighting a large group of troops, you know, you place them down, you put a random waypoint order on it, and then, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's, you're good to go with a little bit of immersion breaking, but mostly fine. So that's kind of it for this playthrough. I might upload some more gameplay footage of my friends playing this, and maybe even some single player footage if I continue to play scenarios like this in single player, but that should have given you a rough idea of how to have fun with ALiVE in 2033, what works, what doesn't work. There's obviously stuff, there's more to go into, like, you know, balancing the scenario so it doesn't end prematurely or stuff, you know, so CSAT doesn't steamroll the enemy team or vice versa, you know. There's lots of stuff like that, but I think that's mostly good to go. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.